Alrighty, guys. It is 3:30 this Friday, January 23rd, and we got an interesting trading day. Kind of turned out to be a range-bound day, kind of primarily pretty sloppy trading on the ES. Nasdaq had a little bit of a tilt to the upside. We're pretty much a holding pattern, range-bound kind of a trading day. Not much going on in terms of directional moves. Nasdaq had a little bit of an extension to the upside, but that was about it. So the news this morning was better than expected, and we said we were just going to fade the edges back to the mean. So the ES that worked out pretty good. Those edges, like buying down to the 25, selling up to the 60s, would have worked. But I mean, you can see this is not easy trading, and you had to kind of watch the rotations back and forth in these bars. It is gnarly. You get on the right side of it, good. If not, if you have bad trade location, it's brutal. And that's, I mean, I found that out on a different account I trade. It's like back and forth, and the Nasdaq has been even worse. You just get a little bit shitty trade location, and suddenly you find yourself, yeah, and it's just getting stopped out, shaking out. To go to break even, get knocked out. It's just frustrating. So you're gonna have to a day like this on this account. I just said, okay, fine. Not kind of setting up the way I wanted to. I'm looking for more a little bit bigger trades. It's been tradable. It's been tradable. It's just I'm watching the dynamics, especially early on this morning when it wasn't doing much. I mean, this action in the morning when it was slopping around here back and forth violently, as I figured, like first hour, I was like, yeah, that's I'm not going to touch that. So staying on the sidelines, kind of missed this little rally after the London close. That kind of sucked, but that would have been a potential move. Now, getting in on it is not easy. You can't kind of buy the breakout. You try to buy the breakout, you had to fade a ton of heat. If you were trying to pull and buy the pullback, it doesn't go back to the target. So you have, it's not by any means an obvious play as to how to get in on it. This retest here got stalled, 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 little fake out, and then it took it higher. So that was a difficult one. So overall, difficult trading, nothing obvious setting up. It's been just churning it back and forth, a lot of rotations back and forth, and a little bit of direction mixed into it. So no trades at all on this account for myself. Nothing going on there. On the Nasdaq, there was a little bit better action on the Nasdaq this morning. And buying weakness definitely worked on the Nasdaq if you can get in. But the slop here this morning, I wasn't going to buy support. I was looking at range bound trading, and when it ran down here to the 590s, 580s, or taking that out, I was waiting for the 530s. Never got that far, so kind of missed that thing. And when they start taking this higher, the ES came back and knocked it down. The Nasdaq went a little bit further, and it kind of started this whole move. So Nasdaq had a much better dynamic going in the morning, but as you see, if you watch the ES, you wouldn't be inclined to hop on the long side on the Nasdaq here because the ES kind of backing off at the time. So a little bit of divergence going on. Uh, but Nasdaq made a pretty good showing out of it. They did take out that resistance area I was looking at this morning, the 730s. So I had a nice run up here, then back and forth a couple of times up here. Now they're backing into that lower range again. And watch this lower area now, the 690 to 700s. And the first one, these were the two ones we talked about in the last update. We were retesting the 730s and below the 690 to 700s, we are just back range bound. And it looks to me like we are back range bound right now. We are back to the mean and not seeing this attempt to take it high. It turned out to be a fake out. When it took sucking people on the long side and then hammering it. So, and if you want to step in front of it and then just trade the edges, they run it just enough to shake you out. It's uncanny how they know how to run it. But it's nothing really. It just feels that way, but it's they run it enough to if you keep tight stops and tight ranges that they manage to get you. Now, if you do the opposite to say I'm going to give it a lot more room, that's when you get caught in a shitty, really shitty trade. So it's better to just get knocked out a few times with a small loss than to get stuck in a really big loss. That's kind of the dynamic. And you never know which you're going to get. So just had to trade the best you can. I mean, early on here, after they failed to take it higher, for a while there, I was still staying on the long side, but after that rotation to the mean, after you see that not being able to extend, especially the first, they trade up, second, third time, can't take it out, gets knocked down a couple of more times, can't take it out. At that point, I mean, that there's no appetite to take this higher right now. So we arranged ban going into the overnight, into Sunday, Monday, and probably going to stick that way. No trades on the ES or Nasdaq for me today. Looking at the bonds and bond market is also nothing really set up there for me either. Every time they got the start of a potential ledge, they kind of did two bars and then the third bar did something and happened more and often. So it's like, okay, fine, I'm not going to try that then. Because but on the bond market, you get in on the wrong side, then you get punished, and the tick size is pretty big there. So and they're still repeated on range bound. Hasn't gone a whole lot directionally. So range bound trading on the bonds going into the overnight, Sunday, Monday. Look to fade the edges. At this point, we're going to have a new edge here at the 20s. Didn't quite make it up to the 24s. So adjusting these edges going into the overnight, into the Monday. So range bound trading on the bonds in the overnight. Range bound trading on the ES and the Nasdaq. And as I said, I mean, I didn't take any trades on this account. The other account I was traded on, I popped on maybe like 18 run turns on that thing, but you end up getting caught in this stuff, and you try that a few times, and it just kind of just gets you, or when they pop a little bit and retrace and stop you out. So your break even has to be huge for you're not getting shaken out, or and if you try to trade with bigger stops, there's enough rotations in this area for it to kind of nail you. So you only need to get nailed once, and then you're screwed. So you just had to take that with a grain of salt. You get nailed on one or two lot trade, but you had to work like crazy just to get close to making that back. So anyway, that's a typical grinding range bound kind of a day today. So we leave it there for now, and I will see you guys back bright and early on Monday. You guys have a great weekend. Later, guys. Later.